Hey everybody, and welcome back to Plus Ultra Pitching. This is going to be our last week of our full motion fastballs, so make sure you go back and check out the other videos where we break down a full motion fastball pitch and also some drills to help you feel comfortable in the different positions. Today we are going to talk about a very common occurrence I see in my pitchers once we get to full motion pitching. They do a lot of the drills correctly, the whipping drills, they do a lot of the power K drills that we talked about. Those all look amazing, and then we get to full motion and the wrist snap part of the pitch kind of disappears, and I notice that they start hinging at the hip, which we fixed a couple of weeks ago with that walking backwards drill. But even if they're not hinging at the hip, I notice a lot of my pitchers will push the ball towards the catcher and then force their hand to turn a certain way. Instead of just letting their elbow come down to their hip, their hand naturally turn at their back hip so that they snap the ball, that forward upward ice cream scoop snap that we talked about. That was a mouthful to say. Ice cream scoop snap that we talked about in one of our very first videos in our wrist snap series. This is the foundation of the fastball. So we need to make sure we are still snapping the ball off in all of our drills, especially when we are pitching full motion for fast pitch softball. So today we're going to revisit the wrist snap, but we're not going to necessarily be kneeling and using towels this time. We're going to be using softballs to help you really feel what that snap should feel like. So I have today that striped ball. Last time what I did was I drew on it with a Sharpie. This time, as you can see, it looks a little bit, I put electrical tape on it instead, and it just makes it a little bit more crisp and easier to see that striped line. I also have, this is a weighted softball. Full disclosure, I don't really recommend people throwing these weighted softballs full motion or with a full arm circle or really pitching them hard to a catcher at all, but you'll see how we'll use this to help you feel that wrist snap a little bit later today. So, quick review. How do we hold fastballs? We have the C of the softball, right? We're going to put our 4 fingers on that C. If you have a striped ball like me, I usually like to have my middle finger along that stripe, so going down the middle part of that C. And as we're coming around our pitch, essentially what we are going to want to do, right, is our palm is going to be facing up with that slight bend in the elbow. Our elbow is going to drive down towards our hips. You're going to try to keep that palm facing up, that ball facing up towards the sky as long as possible. At some point, your elbow is going to get as close to your hip as you can get, and that is when your hand is going to turn over and face towards your catcher. You'll snap the ball like that ice cream scoop we talked about, and then relax your hand towards your catcher. We're not just straightening elbow and pushing the ball. You are driving that elbow down towards the ground, and then when it can't go any further, you snap that forward and upward snap towards your catcher. And for a fastball, that's where we want to see a spin like this, with that line facing, I guess it would be perpendicular. Line is going to be perpendicular to the ground. So a couple drills that you can do to really get a feel for the wrist snap portion and feeling it in your full motion pitch. Number 1, we can start snapping the ball up to ourselves. So get in your nice power K position. Keep that ball, have your arm facing straight and your palm facing straight towards your target. This is going to imitate the bottom part of the wrist snap after your elbow has driven down towards your hip and your palm is facing forward. And you're going to snap that ball up towards your face. Not forward, but up, to really get a feel for snapping all 4 fingers behind that wrist snap. If you have a striped ball like me, try to have that stripe face perpendicular to the ground. And also make sure you're keeping your shoulders tall. We don't want any of this hunching over. We tried to correct that last time. If you did not see that video, go back and check it out. Another thing that you can do other than snapping that ball up to yourself is to use a weighted ball. This is just the one that my dad got for me when I was just learning how to pitch. I don't think it matters what kind of weighted ball that you use, just you want something with a little bit of weight to it. If you have, I don't know, anything that rolls and is heavy, it doesn't have to be a softball, that will work for this drill. I'll come up with some better examples and put it in the description below. You're going to get on your knees just like we did for some of the first drills in our wrist snap series. And here are going to be those ball rolls that we talked about. We're bringing back some of the classic drills. We're going to start with that nice palm up, elbow bent position, but this time make a muscle. Show off your muscles so that you can really exaggerate this elbow bend, and that way you can really feel your elbow driving straight down to your hip. Your palm is still facing up towards the sky. And then as you get to your hip, you're going to roll that ball straight forward. So in real time, it'll look like this. And this is not a speed drill. This is a drill to help you feel that wrist snap at the bottom portion. Feel that upward wrist snap. When you're doing the weighted ball, when you're doing any sort of ball rolls, you want that ball to be moving straight back and forth, and that tells you that your arm is staying nice and close to your body. And then once you feel really good with both of those drills, you can start incorporating this wrist snap feeling into all of the drills. So I'm going to show a drill where I do kind of a slow circle and then I do a pretty quick wrist snap. That's a really good drill to start incorporating and putting it all together. So you're going to get into your power K position. What we're going to do is a slow circle. At this point, I'm in my wrist snap position where my palm is facing up. I have a slight bend in my elbow. I'll drive my elbow down towards my hip, straighten. As it starts to straighten, my wrist turns to snap that ball towards my catcher. You want that nice backward spin. In real time, that drill will look like this. For right now, don't worry too much about the follow through and the floppy wrist at the end. I've noticed that trips a lot of people up. What I really want you to focus on is feeling that really strong, powerful wrist snap. We're not pushing that ball with our body. You want to keep your shoulders nice, tall, and stacked while you are snapping that ball forward and upward towards your target. I threw a lot of information at you guys today. Please put questions in the comment section below if something wasn't clear, or if you want a little bit more detail about any of the drills that I covered. Subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week. And as always, Plus Ultra!